Page 36, I. The top of the page, they're talking about 16th notes in 3/4 time. We've had 16th notes in 3/8 time, but now it's 3/4 time. But the counting's the same. It's 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4. Hey, yeah. And they put in the counting in the little red letters and numbers there for a couple of measures there at the beginning. So you get 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 1 eanda. Now when you go real slow, all you're doing is just trying to get the stuff in the right spot. It's not going to sound like music. It's not going to sound any good. That's fine, because you're just trying to get an idea of what the rhythm is. What you don't want to do is, okay, I'll listen to somebody else play it first, and then I'll just do what they did. No. You're wasting your time if you think you're learning anything and do it that way. You got to be able to look at the music and figure it out yourself. So do that first before listening to somebody else. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda. It's the first full measure is 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 1 eanda, 2. You get the idea? 1 eanda, 2 eanda. I go 2. The counting you use is up to you. It's kind of a personal thing, but find something that works for you where you can keep track of what's going on. Another way of doing this is look at the left hand. It's just all eighth notes. First full measure at the beginning, the first couple measures. All eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and steady. Just steady across the board. Well, if you look at how the notes line up between the two staves, you can tell what right hand notes play with which left hand notes. So at the beginning, they're together, and then on the next eighth note in the left hand, you get 2 notes in the right hand, and then on the third or second beat there you have, and then another one in the left hand, and then both of them in the for the last beat. So it's I figured a lot of music out that way, and sometimes I still do, is I just watch what happened, which note in the hand I'm having a problem with plays with which note in the other hand, and it helps me keep them straight, get it figured out. I see nothing wrong with that approach. I would suggest if you're having a problem, try it out. As far as the right hand goes, I suggest you just play it the way they're showing you. I don't really have any suggestions. Other than, well, there's one minor little suggestion I might suggest. Second line, second measure, you're here. You have this same thing in the first line. They're identical at this part. In the first line, they tell you the next note is played with your index finger. In this line, they don't. Music will do this. They do this to you. They give you the fingering to a passage first, but when that passage repeats itself later on, you don't get any fingering for it. And it's up to you to figure out, oh, this is the same as what I had before, so I'll use the same fingering I had before. And that's fine unless you're like me and you can't remember what fingering you used before. So then you got to go back and look it up again. Well, what fingering did they say? And then you come back and you try it again, and you learn it that way. In this case, they're not giving you fingering for the second line there, but referring to the first line, you can figure out which finger to go. Use index finger on the E. Now they have a few repeated notes here. I wouldn't worry about it too much. This is a quick little piece. I don't want to overcomplicate it, so just repeat the fingers if you have to. Go ahead and use index finger on both. In the left hand, we just have these chords again. I suggest you connect the first note, the low note, with the next note, together, legato, like slurred, and then separate the others. Not staccato, just separate them. It helps to bring out the low note. Third line down, left hand. They're fingering, they're showing you a 5 on the first note. got a little problem with that, and that's because the note right before it, that is the last note in the second line in the left hand, you're playing a C with the fifth finger. Now they want you to use the fifth finger again. It's doable, but it's really better if in the third line, the first note, you'd use the fourth finger. Since your fifth finger's on the C, just use the fourth finger. Then you can use the fifth finger for the last beat, and you're back. This way you can connect the C and the D together with the finger. I know they're showing a pedal there, but I have a problem with their pedaling in here. Again, they're showing you this kind of pedaling to help keep it simple, but in my opinion, this piece, you're really better off not pedaling it at all. Just leave the pedal completely out. All the lines of the first three lines, this applies to all of them. Okay, I'm going to use the first line as the example for the pedaling. In the last measure, they're telling you to push the pedal down at the last beat, and then you're going to play the eighth note in the right hand. And you're going to leave it down until after you play the next note. You don't need the pedal to connect those. You can do it with the fingers, and it's better if you do it with the fingers. Having said all that, let's go ahead and give this thing a try. Very slowly, okay? It's got a pickup beat. 3/4 time. Key is C major. It's got a few accidentals. Let's see what happens. I'll give us 2 counts and we'll start. So, if you're going to use pedal, put your foot on the pedal, but I don't recommend it. Ready, and go, and 3, and. Now at the bottom of the page there is a duet accompaniment to this, so let's try that together. You play what you just played, and I'm going to do the duet. Now on the first beat, the pickup beat, you're by yourself. So in the duet I don't come in until the first full measure. So I'm going to give you 2 counts, and then you start, and then I'll come in. Ready, and go, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. Now, there's probably recordings of this around. I don't know if it's this arrangement or not. But to give you an idea, in case you haven't gotten it yet by my demonstration so far, I'll play a little bit of it so you can hear what I think it should sound like.